We both understand that neither of us could be us without the other one's polar. And that's why we live together. That's why we'll always live together. I've had a lot of like women try and say, why do you still live with your brother? Why don't you want to live with me? Da-da-da. And I try and explain to them that, one, I don't think I can be my most competitive without him. Two, I'm most emotionally stable with him. I like the idea. I'm most competitive with him. I'm my best version of me. If it doesn't matter if I have to go into a fight, doesn't matter if I have to run a business, I'm better with Tristan by my side than I would be by myself. And three, my ideal family life, even my ideal family, the way I live my life now, is very much more like a clan than a nuclear family. I like me, my girl, my kids, Tristan, his girl, his kids, my cousin, his girl, his kids. I like this idea of lots of people. I like that. I like that feeling. So girls say to me, well, you don't want a family. Like, no, I want a family bigger than you want. I just don't want to just sit with you. I want a lot of people around me, and I think it's better for that. And I think it's better for the children especially also. I think they enjoy it more.
This is a very interesting point he brings up. Not very often talked about. But there's actually a difference between the nuclear family and the traditional family. Now, in America, we more so subscribe to the nuclear family, and I suppose, I mean, realistically, that's probably the type of family I'm going to have because, I don't have siblings, it's just not really workable. But there's something to be said about actually the superiority of having a traditional family versus a nuclear family, right? Historically, you want to talk about what the truly conservative way is. It's not necessarily to move out to the other side of the country and talk to your parents like once a year. It's more so you have this homestead, you make your own home, you have your own estate, but you kind of all raise together, like Andrew says, like a clan, right? And there's benefits to it. You could argue maybe there's drawbacks too, but it technically actually is the more traditional way to do it. Now, what I will say is that I think perhaps, in my opinion, you want to talk about, men these days, they're so effeminized and what are all the problems? Why are men so... I think part of the reason is actually this idea of the nuclear family versus the traditional family. And what I mean by that is that in America, you grow up, you go through school, you live your life, you have male brotherhood, you have fraternity. But in American culture, the moment that you get married, you leave, right? You're with your wife your whole life. You barely talk to your guy friends from back then, and you lose any sense of fraternity. You lose any sense of brotherhood. And because you only live with your woman and you have very little male fraternity anymore once you get married, what happens to a lot of married men in America, and the stereotype is true, they become emasculated. They become feminized. Sometimes they straight up become depressed, and they certainly lose their edge, you could say, because they no longer have that brotherhood, right? That male on male fraternity. I'll give you the perfect example of this is, my dad, by the way, somehow he managed to keep it. Okay. If any of you guys know my dad, none of you guys would, maybe my few friends are watching this, and you guys know my dad. You would never expect that this guy is my dad, okay? He's a giant, super buff, bodybuilding white guy who shoots guns and drives a Dodge Challenger. Total 1980s, what's the Commando, you know what I mean? Like an action movie hero, Arnold Schwarzenegger, like that's him, right? That's actually my dad, not joking. But his best friend from college, they used to go around and they were this tight in college, right? They used to go around, they caused a lot of trouble, they did this stuff. They got in the freaking fights, they even allegedly may have ran from cops in foreign countries. Allegedly, that's a joke, obviously. But there's a lot of chaotic stories. And I'm not saying they should still be doing that in their 40s. But what happened is, they together, they were brotherhood, they were tight, they were men. You know what I mean? When my dad's best friend got married and all this stuff. So he's been married like 3 different times, been through a lot of divorces, just been emasculated by his wife, now lives up in San Francisco. Now my dad and him are still friends, but he, right, my dad's best friend from high school, kind of a liberal, very emasculated, doesn't like guns, kind of a sort of a Democrat, you know what I mean? And my whole thing, and I told my dad this the other week, I said, you ever think that if you and him stuck together and stuck closer and didn't just separate totally and never talk to each other like once every year, you know what I mean? Do you ever think that maybe he would be a lot more like you are today? And my dad didn't really receive it at first. He's like, I don't know. But I really sat him down. I said, think about this, right? It's you guys' masculine energies, your brotherhood playing off each other that kept both of you guys as your edge, right? And he ended up, he ran off, started a family, you started yours. but I don't know, you're just cooler. You just managed to keep your masculinity intact. But he, he married very like dominant woman, like 3 different times. And he's just that whole process. I understand it. Lives in San Francisco. Totally understand. It emasculated him, right? And I just look at it like, if they sort of not live in the same house or anything, but if they kind of stuck together, imagine what he would still be today. And that's the thing. That's why I'm not saying that the nuclear family is bad. It still obviously is the ideal in our country. But there's something missing about it where men, because they lose any sense of fraternity and brotherhood once they go off and they're just totally with their wives and that's it. There's no male spaces anymore. I think that's a big part of the reason why men today are the way they are. And they don't maintain brotherhood without their lives. And that, believe it or not, is a fault of the nuclear family. It's an interesting thing to talk about. Let me know your thoughts. It's an interesting debate.
But yeah, I've got the best brother on the planet. I truly do. And this is why I'm saying some of our best days of our lives are in jail.
I was going to ask you that. You guys live here in this compound. It's an amazing place. I was going to ask you, you kind of just answered it, but you foresee yourself living with your brother the rest of your life?
1,000%. 1,000%.
Hot take. Like I said, I know it's very alien in America. I don't think anything is wrong with that. I actually think that is more ideal than a nuclear family, in my opinion.
I can't imagine not wanting to live with Tristan.
Yeah.
If you want privacy, you have privacy, right? We have a big house. So it is what it is.
On one wing,
yeah,
he's on the other wing.
It is what it is. But I can't imagine him not being around. If there's a problem, I just shout his name, or I just can't imagine it. And I know I'm my best self. Also, there's the overall male competition, the masculine competition that exists.
That's what I just said. Yep.
So we live currently here. We got me, my brother's personal trainers here. We got camera guys here. We got war room guys here. We got loads of guys here. But I can give you a million examples. There was a record set next door of a gym, and there's a stair machine, and there was a record set of 188 floors within a time frame. I came along and smashed it with 198. I only held the record for 45 minutes because someone beat it with 202. As soon as the record's beaten, everyone gets pissed off and puts their trainers on, puts their shoes on. As soon as it's beaten, everyone gets mad. Who beat it? Who beat it? And everyone goes and did it. And that's how you push yourself to the level you never thought you'd be able to push yourself.
202.
No, because I'll keep male fraternity.
Minutes.
Good luck.
200.
No.
Minutes.
No, that's what that was beaten with. Now it's 222. It's been beaten again. I don't know.
So it says Vince is going to be a liberal when he gets married, lol. No, you don't, because I'm going into it. I understand this. Okay, so that's not going to happen because it's going to be very clear with my wife. You're not going to get between me and my guy friends. This is necessary. I have to go out and provide and kind of build the world while I also raise this family. So I understand. So, but that's the thing. I'm not going to marry the type of woman who's super controlling like that, or just does that, tries to emasculate me. I'm not attracted to that. I know what I'm looking for. But the problem is it's so common in our culture today. And like someone said earlier, happy wife, happy life. This very cliche thing of when you get married, all you should just be very subservient and submissive to your wife as a husband. It's wrong. And like I said, you hypothetically could still have that with a nuclear family. I don't think the dads in the 1950s were exactly getting emasculated by their wives, but I do recognize, right? I think over time, the breakup of male bonds, you break them up all into their little nuclear families, their little bubbles, the little nucleuses, right? Because those male bonds are lost, it is true. Men only interact really with their wives. And what happens when you only interact with women, you need to interact with women, but when you only interact with them, that's not healthy because the only energy around you is feminine. And that's actually a problem. That's a problem with this whole idea of the nuclear family. Now, do you have to all live in a clan? No, but I think you should do your best to maintain some degree of fraternity, brotherhood. It could be with friends. It does not have to be with your siblings or anything. But I think to some degree, all young guys out there, when you get married, keep this in mind, right? You don't want to lose your male spaces, is what I would say. Hey guys, Vince Dao here. Hope you enjoyed that clip from the Vince Dao Show. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. And be sure to check out the Vince Dao Show live every weeknight here on this channel at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. It is a great show. Many are saying this.